Hi guys and welcome back. Now in this lesson we're going to be discussing authorization. First, let's give the definition of authentication, which allows us to identify users of our site. So when a user logs into our site, we authenticate them with their user login details, such as username and password. Authorization, on the other hand, lets us control what users do when they have logged into our site, such as edit permissions, access certain pages, and so on. So there is a difference between authentication and authorization. In this lesson, we're going to see how to implement authorization. So at the moment, even non-logged in users can access the edit and update actions for any user. We're going to implement a security model that requires users to be logged in. It will also prevent them from updating any information but their own. For non-logged in users who try to access a protected page, we're going to redirect them to the login page. To implement this behavior, we're going to use a before filter in the user's controller. Before filters use the before action command to arrange for a particular method to be called before the given action. In order to require users to be logged in, we first define a logged in user method and invoke it using the before filter. So let's do this now by going to app controllers users controller, and I'm here actually I'm in the model. So user controller, app controllers, users controller. Here we go. So here now in line 1, hit enter, and let's add in the code before action logged in. How did I spell that? God knows. Logged underscore in underscore user only. So logged in users can only edit and update. So we've just created the before action, but now at the end of this file we need to create the logged in user method, which the before action is trying to invoke here. So let's go to the end of our file, and when in the private section at line 38 on my file, let's add in def logged in user. There we go. So unless the user is logged in, question mark, flash, and I shouldn't have double quotes there, I just want a colon like that, so let me just clean that up or fix that. Now what's the flash message? Please log in. So here what we're assuming is that a user is trying to do something, or a non-logged in user is trying to do something that they shouldn't, and we're flashing up the message saying, to do this, please log in. We're also going to redirect to login URL. There we go. And end. Perfect. Great, let's save that. In the code we've just written, we restrict the before filter to act only on the edit and update actions by passing the only options hash. That's here on line 2. So the only hash here with edit and update permissions. If we didn't add in this hash, by default the before filter would apply to every action in a controller. So if I go to my application now, so I have my server running, let's pop up my application. Here we are. So as you can see, I'm not logged in. And let me try and access. Now I may have to restart the server, but let me go to users/1/edit. Please log in. Perfect. Previously, before this lesson and before the before filter, we could have just gone to this page, but now we can't. The edit and update actions now require a logged in user. Okay, so back in my code editor, let me just kill the server and let me just run Rails test. Okay, so we're getting a red, and why is that? Well, our tests now require, or the code to test for edit and update actions now require a logged in user. But we have no logged in user inside the corresponding tests. To fix this, we log our test user in before hitting the edit or update actions. So let's go to test integration users edit test. I have that open from a previous lesson. users edit test. So test unsuccessful edits here. We want to put in a new line at the very beginning of the test. Log in as @user. So from our fixtures file, the user there. And we want to do the exact same thing. Let me just copy this here in our successful edit test. So we're logging in a user before the test is run. Now back in my terminal here, let me just pull this up. Let's run our tests again. Rails test. Hopefully they should be green. No. Why is that? Let's take a look. Okay guys, so after a bit of investigation, I realized why those tests were returning red. As you can see here, we have our updated tests in our users_edit test.orb file. So unsuccessful edit, and we added the ability to log in as a user. And we have our successful edit where we also added the ability to add in a user. But we created a new method here, or I added in a new method here, log_in as. But what I forgot to do was actually create the actual method. So I skipped the page on my notes by mistake. So if we go back here to test_helper.orb, you'll see here, starting at line 22 on my screen, I've added in, within the class active support test case, I've added in a new method here, login as user. So as you can see here now, within a session, we're taking the user ID and we're logging in as that user. Also within the integration class here, or the integration test class here of action dispatch, I've created a new method to log in as a particular user when we're running our tests. So this user will use the details from our fixtures file, which we created in the previous lesson. So the username, the password, which we give it here, then login path, params, and the user login details. So with all that added in, our test should now be passing. So let's check. And there we go. 23 tests, all passing. So now we've tested for unsuccessfully editing a user and successfully editing a user. And just to confirm all this, let's open up our application. So Rails server. Okay, our server is running. Let me pop open my web browser. Here we are. Let me close that. Now, refresh, make sure we're live. We are. Okay, let's log in. Log in as tony@example.com. Perfect. Password. Password 123. Log in. Great, I'm logged in as Tony. Up here in account, click that, settings. Okay, so here we are with the ability to update our profile. So I could change my name here from Tony to, let's say, what's an easy name? Carl. There we go. And my email, carl@example.com. Save changes. Profile updated. You can now see my username as Carl. So we know that those tests are returning green, but in the real world, our application is working, so we can trust the tests. Okay guys, that's it for this lesson. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next lesson.